And the last thing that you do on your 5-step process is test your page. You have to test your page. The reporting function for the VIP page is pretty cool. If you really think about it, you're able to find out who logged into your page, how long they're in there for, what are they clicking on. Use that reporting function to find out if you're serving your students. If you have anything on your VIP page, again, that students aren't looking at, why are you wasting resources putting it on your page? So again, this is our minor CIDR that we did 2 years ago and that we are still implementing up until probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is our new branding. The reason why this doesn't look the same is because UTEP didn't have our website branding set, so we had to create our new branding. But now that we have our website set, we integrated our new branding to it. When we first created our portal, we created our layouts. So you can see our left column, right column, and center column. That's not by chance. That's based on research. If you take a look at a lot of portals, 3 columns are really useful. If you look at New York Times, you look at Huffington Post, 3 columns are very useful because you can segment your information a little bit easier. You can clearly label your documents and your modules and your blocks a little bit easier on a 3 column. We find that easier for us on our content. It may be different for you, but we went with the 3 column. Then what we did after that is we laid out our blocks. We laid out our blocks in a way that we can see where we want prioritized. So on the right-hand corner, when you're looking at it, we have our welcome to establish our credibility. In the center column, we have our banner ad, or our most important promotion ads. And then right underneath that, we have our admission status, our financial aid status. And then on the right-hand side, we have our university recruiter. So when it boils down to it, on our right-hand column, if you're looking at it from your seat, is our engagement column. That's where we want students to engage with the recruiter, to visit your campus. That's where we want students to call to action. Our center column is the most important information. That's where we want students to know where they fall in their enrollment process, what they need to do next, how they need to get there, and what information do they need. On the left-hand column, where the welcome is, that is their informational column. That's where we put their profile. That's where we put their upcoming events. That's where we put important links. So we segmented our VIP page in that fashion. As you can see on here, you may not be able to read it, but you can download this presentation after. We have a student objective, and then we have our institutional objective. And we wrote that down for each of our blocks. And those are sometimes similar. In the welcome section, we have our objective as we want to introduce ourselves to the students. As a user, that's a credibility block. So we do that for all of our modules. And it takes a little bit of time, but once you understand your objectives for each module, you can actually test it and see if it's working towards that objective. So we start off with our branding, and this is how it looks when it comes all together. A little bit different than our previous VIP page. And this is what we're implementing within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We segment it in a way where we have a lot of text, because we have a lot of stuff we want to get out. So we had to figure out a way to we can elaborate on something, because we were getting a lot of questions inbound. As you see, there's our welcome. Welcome, Timothy Martinez. That's a made-up name. But we pulled in our attributes. We pull in our attributes more than once or twice. We have our profile there, so they have a quick glance of who they are and what they are. Sometimes students give us point of contact cards or whatever, give us wrong information. If they log onto their VIP page and see some quick information that's wrong or is correct, they can tell us. They can let us know. They can do that right away. And then, as many of you might have found, is Hobson's Connect gives really bad usernames and passwords. So a lot of students don't remember that, especially if you have a username or password of your own university portal. How do you get around that? Well, you get around that by showing that every single time you can, whether it's an email, and in this case, a VIP page. We're showing them their user-generated username and password, and then we're giving them an opportunity to change it. And that button takes it straight back to the interest page. A lot of people, when you look at your web page, if you notice, depending on where you have your welcome statement on your VIP page, if you have one, we can find your interest page and edit it. It's not in the most ideal place. So we're making it a little bit more pronounced on our web page. We have our coming events, or my events. This is where we're integrating our events and interviews module. And we're doing this a couple ways since Hobson's really updating their events and interviews. What we're doing here is that your interviews or your events or whatever registered events that you have can be attributes. And those attributes can be pulled into your columns. So here we're pretty much saying you're registered for these events. We might use it for our open house. We may use it for a campus visit. We may even use it for Orange and Blue Day, which is another one of our open houses. So they can see right there what events are registered for. We have our coming up section, which is our calendar of events. Usually when a student goes and looks for calendar of events, they don't mind looking for it. That's not the first thing that they're looking at. If they're looking for a specific deadline, as users of the VIP and coordinators and managers of VIP, we need to put that on top somewhere. Center column here is we have our little video. That's our ad, that's our promotion or advertising. Whether we're promoting a new event, whether we need to show a deadline, that's where we're placing it. And then right under that is what we have our new admission status checklist. We realized that a simple checklist on our VIP page didn't work well. Students had more questions. So what we did here is that we elaborated on it. They see their admission status, they can tell that they're an applicant. If they've been admitted, they'll show an admitted section there under your attributes. Each of the pieces of content, whether it's the intro, Timothy, or whether it's the gray box with our little pick attention, is filtered out specifically based on the segment, the enrollment funnel, and behavior. So every single time they log in, it's going to be different if they moved along the enrollment funnel. So here we have, you've submitted your application online, we received it. We're letting them know that we received it. After they received it, we might let them know that, hey, we're still reviewing it. You may hold off a little bit. After they've received their application and they've been admitted, we'll probably move that to you've been admitted, these are your next steps. And we can filter that out. If they're missing any documents, we can still show it here. So they can show that we received their application, but we're still missing your high school transcript. So we can filter that out. It's a little bit more elaboration and description, but what we noticed was that students need that hand-holding at times. They need that assistance to where they need to go. So what we're doing here is creating a roadmap for the students. We're not leaving anything up for chance. So in that aspect, we're creating a user experience that's a little bit more friendly and a little bit more hand-holding. We have our financial aid status right underneath that. If they're missing anything, they haven't filled out a FAFSA, or they have a transcript, whatever the case may be associated with financial aid, we can place it there. We created each of these blocks here so that anytime you want to design something, you don't need a graphic designer to update it. It's a gray background with text, and you have your guidelines for that. It's real simple. So if for some reason I move somewhere or I get sick, someone else can go in, copy it, change it, and it would not change the look of the VIP page, which is extremely important because the VIP page needs to be flexible. It needs to be adaptable, and this allows for that. Now, we realize that a lot of people who've already applied may not be wanting to explore more majors. So it's a little bit down on the page, but we still offer that. On the right-hand side, we have a video of one of our university recruiters, and they can introduce themselves. At the bottom here, we have our little Post-it note as our message from recruiter. This gives a little bit more accountability for our university recruiters. If they have to send a specific information to a student, they can create a message, and they can filter it out. So now, not only if nothing else changes on the web page, the recruiter can tell them, I'm going to be at your high school at this time. Come visit me, or whatever the recruiter wants to send. Again, it's just a background image, and other than that, the recruiter can go in and type out their information. Very flexible, very adaptable, easy to change. Now, we have our Visit UTEP, our tuition estimator, and maybe our Flickr account. A little bit more fun stuff. It doesn't hold a lot of real estate on our VIP page, but yet, with users going on to Facebook and MySpace or whatever, Wikipedia, users are used to scrolling down. So it's okay for that. They don't mind exploring the page if you're scrolling down. So that's where we put a lot of our information. Again, all of this has a link associated with it. Whether it's our calendar of events, we have a link associated with it. If it's a Visit UTEP, they have a link to schedule campus tour. If it's an admission status, there's going to be a link there that says, learn more about the university or, whatever the case may be, everything has a call to action to it. So then when we test our page, we do our reporting function, we can see who's interacting with the page, who's being engaged with the page. And because of that click link, are they getting closer to becoming a UTEP student? One thing I didn't showcase is at the very top, we have our chat button, and we have our got a question. We are also integrating our answer component of Hobson's as well as our instant chat at the very top of the page. Why not add that to your VIP page? If a student has a question and you have your answer, they can go and type it up and get a question right away. If they want to speak to somebody on chat, they can go online and speak with somebody. They're used to icons, so that's why we have it on top. But we're integrating a lot of our Hobson's components into our VIP page. So we're using the maximum value of our investment.